So this head has just been changed, but it's not tensioned or tuned or anything yet. So these things are just finger tight. I want to make sure that we're kind of centered here, and I'm going to go around and pinch these lugs again and make sure that this head's on the whole way. Now you hear that, this is the Remo head, you hear that cracking and popping as I'm starting to seat the head down, and that doesn't happen on the Evans head. Which again is not a good or a bad thing, it's just a thing. All right, so then all of these are relatively the same, so we'll just go around, do like 1/8 of a turn, and just get a little bit of tension on the head. Now this is where I'll use the tension watch and just kind of go around here and kind of set these two. Make sure that they're somewhat similar. And again, this is just helping me get in the ballpark quicker. The numbers on this thing don't really mean anything because it's not calibrated in any way. It just is sort of measuring the tension on the head. So as long as I know that all of the tension on the head is very similar around here, then I know I'm in the ballpark. And basically what that does is that just tells me that there isn't one lug or two lugs that are just way off, like either real high or real low. Because if that happens, you'll never get the head in tune. You're going to fight it. You're going to get so frustrated that you're just going to give up on it. And then you'll put lots of tape all over it to get all the nasty rings out of it. So now that I've done that, so you can hear some different pitches there, and that's why this thing here is not, this should never, your ear always has to be the final word on whether the drum is in tune or not, because it can be mathematically in tune and not sound very good. And so in the end, what we're after is not a drum that's technically right, we want a drum that sounds good. And so all of these things, the tuners, the tools, the piano, all this stuff, I use it to get us close to where I want to go, but my ear will always tell me if it's right. And so you really need to develop your ability to hear the pitches, to sing the pitches, and then work on your ability to get the drum to where you want it to be, and let your ear tell you if it's right. So this is a I don't know what that is because I don't have perfect pitch. That's an E. So that pair is really low because again, we're getting this up to around a G. So then I went a little high on that, so now we're at an A. Bring it down just a hair. So basically what had happened was this was really low, but the rest of these were up pretty high. So there was a big differential between the tension across here and what we were getting in this direction. And it gave the really weird overtone. So once I found what that was, which I did by damping the head here and getting my ear right down to the head so I could hear the real pitch that was here, and I was filtering out all of this other garbage that was coming in from the side. And then then I was able to determine where the problem was. So now the head's starting to get a lot closer with itself, which is what we're after. So this is pretty high here. Now, I don't know if this is showing up in the video or not, but I'm starting to get a lot bigger ring out of the drum. So that's telling me that I'm getting closer. Okay. So now it's relatively in tune with itself, but it's pitched a little too high. One thing I didn't do with this head, I'm just going to do it now, is just kind of all that cracking and popping. I want to make sure all that's out of it. The single ply heads do that a little bit less than the double ply. Some of that is just because the 2-ply heads are sort of, they rub against each other. So that doesn't sound too bad. That sounds bad. So this pair is pretty low here. All right, so that's right around the G right now. So I'm just gonna nudge that up a little bit. And on a 16-inch tom, you don't need to be quite as detailed with the tuning. Because the pitches are so low, you don't get some of the really bad overtones that you would get on a smaller drum. So basically at this point, I'm pretty much done with this drum, other than I'm still going to put the tape on it. Because even though this drum's lower, if it rings too long, it can really sort of build up in the mix and be really boomy. And it'll also resonate with the rest of the kit. So you really have to be careful with the floor toms that they don't get out of control. Where what I'm trying to avoid is that if they don't need to gate the tom in the front of house, that's what I'm after. Because gates sound bad, but sometimes they're necessary. So I'm gonna date this. And we'll flip it over here and do the tape. And now we can listen to the drum. So I will set it down on the floor here and we'll see what it sounds like. So pitch-wise, it's pretty good. There's a little bit of a weird buzz or rattle in it. So now we're gonna work on it a little bit more and try to get rid of that.